Hi, this is Munson with Munson Music, and we're going to talk about how you can play a song called Friends in Low Places by Garth Brooks. And we end up capoing this on 2nd fret to kind of match the recording, but we start off with kind of our intro around the G major chord. When we play G major, first finger goes to A on the 2nd fret, second finger on the low E string on the 3rd fret, and third finger on the high E string on the 3rd fret. And if you strum all those together, that sounds a G major chord, and it sounds really, really happy. And then from the G major, we're going to be going to this really cool little E major with the licks we'll talk about in a minute. But the way you play E major, first finger goes to the G string on the 1st fret, second finger on the D string 2nd fret, and third finger on the G string 2nd or D string 2nd fret. And if you strum all those together, that sounds an E major chord, and it sounds really happy. Now you may also want to kind of lift off the 3rd finger of that and make that an E7 chord. Or you may want to kind of take the pinky and kind of add it in on a low E string on the 3rd fret, and that's something called an E7/G sharp, or an E major with a G sharp in the bass. E7/G sharp, we go into an A minor chord. When we play A minor, first finger goes to the B string on the 1st fret, second finger on the D string 2nd fret, and third finger on the G string on the 2nd fret. And if you strum all those together, that sounds an A minor chord, and it sounds really, really sad. Now here in the recording though, where the lick kind of starts without the 1st finger, and that's something called an A sus2. And there's kind of this hammer-on lick in the A minor chord, so you may want to kind of start with the A minor, kind of put the 1st finger down to kind of get that hammer-on in there. Or if you take the pinky and kind of add it in on the high E string on the 3rd fret, then that sounds an A minor 7, and that kind of happens around that lick too. And then from there we go to a D major chord. When we play D major, first finger goes to the G string on the 2nd fret, second finger on the high E on the 2nd fret, and third finger on the B string on the 3rd fret. And if you strum the D string to the high E string, that sounds a D major chord, and it sounds really happy. Now you hear this cool little lick there where you may want to lift off the 2nd finger, which is always a dangerous finger to lift. But that sounds a D sus2, and you'll kind of hear this cool little hammer on into the D major chord. So you could kind of just strum through that intro, kind of that G major, E7, A minor, D. Or you could kind of work the licks, and what Garth's kind of doing is some cool little arpeggios or broken chords around the chords. So instead of playing the whole chord, he's playing just little pieces of it. So you start with the G with kind of the low E on the 3rd, open D, open G, open B, and then we go to 4th fret on the low E string. And then this is a cool little voicing actually. You kind of play the 4th fret on the low E, open D, but then we go to 4th fret on the G string, and then 1st finger can kind of go to the 3rd fret on the B string, and kind of get 4, 0, 4, 3. It's kind of a little piece of that E7/G sharp. Kind of same notes, different place. And then on the A minor, you can kind of start off with the A, D, and G string, and then do the hammer on the B string, the 1st fret, back to the G string 2nd, and then 3rd fret on the high E string. And then we go to the D chord with the D, G, B, and then kind of play the high E string for kind of that hammer on at the end. So you got that G arpeggio, and then the 4, 0, 4, 3, and then 0, 2, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, and then 0, 2, 3, 0, 2, hammer on, kind of through that part. Or a lot of times with a song like this too, I like to use something called a strum pattern. And one of my favorite strum patterns for a 4/4 like this is down, down, up, up, down, up. So we took the G and just tried that a lot. You'd have down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. So you can kind of work the intro that way too. You'd have G, down, up, down, up, E7, down, up, down, up, A minor, down, up, down, up, D, down, up, down, up. Or something else that I like to add is bass notes. And a lot of times on that first down of the down, down, up, down, you can throw in a bass note too. So on the G, you'd have the low E for the bass. On the E7, you'd have the low E for the bass, unless you're doing the E7/G sharp, in which case you're still doing low E for the bass. A minor would have the A string for the bass, and the D would have the D string for the bass. So you'd have G with low E bass, E7 low E bass, A minor then A bass, A minor then A bass, or D with a D bass, kind of on that intro. And then from there, we'd be going into our verse part, which kind of repeats a lot of that progression. We start off with our G, and then our E7, and then A minor, and then we go to D, and more D, and then we go back to G, 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 E7, A minor, but then we go to a C major. And all you really have to do is kind of take the third finger from the G string 2nd fret to the A string 3rd fret, and if you strum the A string of the high E string, that sounds a C major chord, and then we end our verse kind of on a lot of D major at the very, very end. So we tried that with our strum pattern. We'd have G with a down, down, up, down, E7, down, up, down, up, A minor, down, up, down, up, A minor, B, G with low E bass. We want to kind of throw the basses in too, that's cool. So we got the G with low E bass, E7 with low E bass, A minor with an A bass, and then C with half an A bass, and then D with a D bass, so D with a D bass, and then D with a D bass, D with a D bass, and then from there we'll be going into our chorus part, which takes a lot of those things and kind of mixes it up. So we'd have G with low E bass, and then G with low E bass, G with low E bass, G with low E bass, A minor with an A bass, and D with a D bass, D with a D bass, G with low E bass, G with low E bass, G with low E bass, and then we kind of have almost a stop time on the G where you may want to do it down and kind of pick it back up on the A minor, D, and then G with low E bass, G with low E bass. Now the weird part is though, to play along with Garth, instead of starting on a G major, he's starting on an A major chord. So to play along with the recording, what you want to do is take a capo, and if you put the capo on 2nd fret, then now your G major is really an A major, your E7 is really an F sharp 7, your A minor is really a B minor chord, and your C major is really an E major chord, and the D major is really an E major chord. But to take it from the very beginning, you may want to kind of work those intro licks kind of around those chords, kind of through the intro part to kind of set people up for it. They'll be like, oh my gosh, Friends Love plays all this song. Or you could just strum through that part. And you have G, E7, A minor, D, and then from there, we'll be going into our main verse part. So if we tried our verse, we kind of through it. We'd have G with low E bass, E7 with low E bass, A minor with an A bass, A minor with an A bass, D with a D bass, D with a D bass, G with low E bass, G with low E bass, G with low E bass, E7 with low E bass, A minor with an A bass, C with an A bass, D with a D bass, our chorus part. So we'd have our G with low E bass, 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 A minor with an A bass, A minor with an A bass, D with a D bass, C with a D bass, G with low E bass, G with low E bass, G with low E bass, G, and then we got A minor, D, G, G, and then from there, then we go into a little solo that's kind of like our little mix it up of our chorus. So we have G with low E bass, 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 A minor with an A bass, D with a D bass, G with low E bass, and kind of a big stop time on the G. From there, then we'll be going into our next verse. Now, something else I think about adding to the song, though, is something called country feel. And a lot of times, and you'll kind of hear this in the bass part through the song, so a lot of times on the G chord, for instance, the bass player kind of plays the low E string for the root, or kind of that G note, and then kind of alternates that with the D string, which is something called the 5th. G, A, B, C, D is a 5th of G. So you could kind of go low E string for your root, and then do a down up, and then do the D string for your 5th, and then do another down up to kind of get that bass line in there. So on the G, you'd be alternating between the G string and the D string. On the A minor, you have the A string to the low E string. On the E7, we have the low E string to the A string, kind of working it that way. On the D, you'd have the D to the A string, and get to that chord. And on the C chord, there's this cool little kind of trick where you could do the A string on the 3rd fret, and then move to the low E string on your 3rd fret to get the C and the G note out. Kind of root on the A string 3rd, 5ths on the low E string 3rd. So we tried our next verse that way with country feel. We'd have G with low E bass, D bass, D7 low E bass, A bass, A minor A bass, low E bass, A minor A bass, low E bass, D with D bass, A bass, D with D bass, A bass, G with low E bass, D bass, G with low E bass, G with low E bass, D bass, C7 low E bass, A bass, A minor A bass, low E bass, G with an A bass, move to low E 3rd, D with D bass, A bass, D with D bass, A bass, D with D bass, A bass, D with D bass. And randomly on that last D, and you'll kind of hear this through the tune to lead back into the G chord, you may want, or let's see, bass, down, up, yeah, kind of your D with the bass, down, up, and then open E, and then 2 on the low E string to kind of lead into it instead of the root 5th. So you'd have D with the D bass down, up, low E, 2nd fret to kind of lead in on that last D, to lead into our chorus part. So we tried our chorus with the country lick, or country feel. We had G with low E bass, G with low E bass, G with low E bass, D bass, G with low E bass, D bass, A minor, A minor, D with the D bass, A bass, D bass, G with low E bass. So we're throwing that lick anywhere you want to kind of point from the D to the G, G. Then we got a big G, da da da, A minor, D, G. That'd be kind of a cool thing too. And then from there, would be just repeating our chorus actually through our outro. Now, one other way you may want to play around with playing through the song is fingerstyle. And if you're kind of interested in that, you could kind of do the low E string kind of with your, or the E and the A and the D strings with your thumb. You could line up the index finger on the G string, middle finger on the B string, and ring finger on the high E string. And one really easy arpeggio or broken chord to start with is doing bass and then G, B, E, or bass, index, middle, ring. So I'm kind of using my fingers kind of laid out in kind of a cool little order. And if you're adventurous enough, you could almost kind of make this kind of a root, index, middle, ring, and then 5th, index, middle, ring. So now I'm going low E string, G, B, E, D string, G, B, E, but kind of using the fingers lined up that way. So it might be kind of a cool way to do it. And if you tried that through your verse, you'd have the G, E7, A minor, A minor, D with the D bass, and the thumbs move to A, D with the D bass, A bass, G with low E bass, G with low E bass, D bass, G with low E bass, D bass, E7 low E bass, A bass, A minor then A bass, low E bass, C with an A bass, move to low E bass, D with the D bass, A bass, D with the D bass, A bass, D with the D bass, A bass, D with the D bass. Alright, throw in your bass lick too. And then from there, then we go into our chorus part. So we'd have our G, 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 A minor then A bass, low E bass, A minor, D with the D bass, A bass, D with the D bass, A bass, G with low E 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 bass, D bass, A minor, D, G. So you want to play around with it that way too. But that's the basics of how you could play through and strum and kind of easily fingerstyle through Friends in Low Places by Garth Brooks. So good luck!